Welcome back everyone to AFTV. Time to preview Arsenal's trip to Newcastle United. Another big game in these first 10, and then after Chelsea will be 11 games. Arsenal have had quite a few massive fixtures in there too, but we're already trailing a little bit. 5 points behind City, 4 behind Liverpool, so just to stay in touch with the title race, it's important to win this game. To debate the starting 11, has Ethan Waneri made a big enough statement against Preston, how we look on the injury front, and discuss all that and more. I've got Turkish to my right, Laurie to my left, and we're going to fly straight into it because Turkish, Arsenal did, that Preston performance for me was perfect. It was no nonsense, 3 goals, clean sheet, on to the next round, draw against Palace, which in an all Premier League, quarter final, actually quite good to get a home tie. Think we could be pretty happy with that. So everything in midweek's gone pretty well. Why are you smiling? It's the Eddie and Nketiah.
I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting for it.
Is it homecoming?
Come on, get it off your chest.
What's wrong with you? Are you excited? Is Palace? Eddie's coming home?
If Eddie knocks us out the cup, are you going to celebrate?
Get it off your chest, man. I know.
Yeah, Eddie hat-trick.
We're watching that together.
So predictable.
On here, make sure you're here for this watch along. Arsenal Palace next month. Eddie and Nketiah watch. Yeah, I'm gonna teach Laurie why all those months last season he was talking absolute rubbish. But Newcastle, let's focus on that because this is our biggest game of the season. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's built up to that, hasn't it?
100%. The position we are in now, some might say we've left ourselves in, some might say unfortunately in because of injury, suspensions, red cards, 10 men, whatever. We can't afford to drop any more points right now, in my opinion. It was similar against Tottenham and City away back to back with Odegaard just being out. That was a similar feeling, but then we get past those. I think we pick up very positive results, 4 points out of 6. But since then, we've become unstuck at times again, leading to this position we're in again in the first 9 games where it's a must win. And I said this against Liverpool, but a draw is on to the next one. Yeah. Now it's a must win because we're 4-5 behind. Listen, 6-7 is not out of this world either, but when we know what it is against Manchester City, when we know what it takes to win this league, you cannot afford to be dropping that far behind, whether it's game week 3, 10 or 26.
I'm the one, when we're on Forever Arsenal or whatever, who just pours a little bit of cold water and all the hyperbole. When it was when we drew to Brighton, I was saying we had to beat Tottenham. I was the one going, we don't have to beat Tottenham. So I'm not one to overdo it, but I have to say, it is feeling to me like win. Let's couple Chelsea in that as well. Beat Newcastle and Chelsea. We're putting ourselves in a great position when you take into consideration the fixtures. Now, okay, we're still a bit behind, but that would be a bit of a statement to get those 2 away wins, get ourselves back on track as we go into the November international break, and then the charge is on. But I'm not even saying lose, but draw, even one of those 2. And again, disaster feels too strong, but that starts to become a really big mountain to climb, with or without Rodri for City, or whether they're in their first year or not with Slot. That starts to feel like a big task, and we do feel like we're on this. There's no in between. There's no kind of okay, we didn't quite get what we wanted, but it's okay. It feels like very good or very bad.
Yeah, I think if we drop points in either game, Newcastle or Chelsea, we're no longer even third in the league anymore. Because City and Liverpool are. You're right. There's a little gap there. We are currently level on points to Aston Villa. Chelsea are not too far behind, I believe. Yeah. And we play Chelsea the week after next, who, listen, they've been good this season, definitely better than last 2 seasons. But imagine them going into a game like that, knowing that, hey, we haven't beaten them here in 6 years, because it has been 6 years. But if we beat them now, we go above them, or we build a little gap on them, depending what happens against Newcastle. These are massive games, and we can't start the week with anything but a W. Imagine dropping points lunchtime and then having to watch the rest of the football on the weekend, knowing that before the rest of the football, those drop points are damning.
Well, fail to do our jobs in these next 2 games, Laurie, we could be out the top 4 race. Had the top 4 race. That was very dramatic. We would be out the top 4 going to the November international break. Now, again, nothing is decided by beginning of November, but is it fair to say that we are in our biggest run of the season of games now, do you think? I know it sounds crazy, we're not even in, but if we're talking pure fixtures, and I'm going to have a little look at Arsenal's fixtures and how the rest of the season looks, but I can't think of a patch of a few months in which we've had this many big games and that we're going to in the future? I mean, what do you think? Does it feel defining?
No pressure then.
No, well, I know, and like I said, I'm not really the one to overdo it in that way normally, but I can't pretend that this doesn't feel massive.
Absolutely. If you could just indulge me, I just want to say a couple of things really quick. First thing is I've got to mention, because I do have friends, Spanish friends, about the tragedy going on in Spain. The flash floods, 80 odd people plus lost their lives, so I want to send a special message of commiserations to people in Spain. Also, it's Diwali Day today, so happy Diwali to my Indian friends. Right, in answer to your question, Turkish is right. We've seen in the league, especially last season, the title will ultimately be decided by fine margins. So if you're dropping points week after week, as we've done for the past couple of weeks, it builds more pressure for the next game. However, where I would disagree with Turkish slightly, not for the first time, is that I don't think it's done and dusted if we don't beat Newcastle at the weekend. Obviously, it'll be a big blow to our title chances, but going away to Newcastle is a very difficult fixture. We lost there last year, and we know that Newcastle, on their day, are a very good team. They're not performing particularly well this season, funny enough. I mean, I think they lost to Brighton in their last home game. However,
sorry to cut you, Laurie. Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
but if we drop points against Newcastle this week, for every loss we have moving forward from game week 10, we'll need City or Liverpool to have 4. For every loss from game week 11 to game week 38, every loss Arsenal have, we'll need Liverpool and City essentially to have 4 of those. If we lose 2, it becomes 5.
No, listen.
When you put it like that, and you look at tables of the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's not often that these teams are losing 4, 5, 6 games in a season.
No, I get what you're saying. We lose this game, we need somehow City to lose 3 games when they haven't lost in a calendar year.
Yeah.
And then you're hoping the same happens at Liverpool.
Yeah, but when you say we need City to lose 3, that's us going immaculate.
Yeah, you're right.
When we lose 1, it means they have to lose 4. 2, 5, and it just becomes it's out. So, back in the day, it was very different football. You could lose games early in the season when it was Arsenal, Man United growing up, and there's still a chance you could build it. When you know what it takes to beat City, 90 points minimum.
I mean, listen. Points. On paper, it's a must-win game. Yeah, they're all must-win games, really. In reality, they're all must-win games. There are certain games you look at, you think, I would take a point there, given the circumstances, but essentially they are must-win games. But what I would say is we do have to be a little bit realistic. All the clubs are going to drop points, and the weekend coming, I think it's match day 9. That's basically a quarter of the season will be gone come this weekend. So I don't think we can really say that if we don't beat Newcastle, then it's all done and dusted. I think that's a bit too premature. But listen, I do agree with you. Going into this game, it's a must-win game.
I'd just love it so much if we responded to what's been a very indifferent run. I'm being polite when I say that. By winning at Newcastle, winning at Chelsea, difficult things to do. 2 clubs that have Champions League ambitions. But to win there, and then even if we do come out of this, because City have to go to Bournemouth and Brighton, I expect them to win. But you know what? The way they've been conceding goals, you never know, something can happen. Liverpool, I can't remember. I don't think their run is amazing, but it's whatever. If we can even just come out of that run within those 4 or 5 points, knowing that soon they're going to be facing each other, knowing that they've still got a lot of those big trips. City still have 2 Manchester derbies to come. Like I said, they still have to play each other twice and all this stuff. Then maybe we can start to build momentum. I've just looked at our fixtures, and without going through every single one, I don't see, post Chelsea, Forest at home, West Ham away, United at home, Fulham away, followed by Everton at home, then Palace away, followed by Ipswich at home, and then you've got, tricky, Brentford, Brighton away, but then it's Tottenham, Villa at home. Like, it's not, there's no part of the season that feels like what we've basically had from when we had, Villa away, second game of the season, through to now. I mean, a reminder, Villa away, Liverpool at home, Tottenham away, City away, Newcastle away, Chelsea away. Did I say City away? Will all be chalked off in our first 11 games. If we are coming out of it with a few extra wins and in touching distance, it'll be disappointing that we've fallen that far off. And I think you look at the Bournemouth game where that really happened, but you'd also say, all right, that's a somewhat respectable effort, we can now try and build momentum on it, especially if those last 2 results were wins. That's the only way that's essentially going to happen. So big couple games. What are we expecting from it, though? Newcastle have had a very weird start themselves. I mean, they just beat Chelsea 2-0 in the Carabao Cup. We know Chelsea rotated a little bit, as I don't know if Newcastle did, or if they... we're just having a look at their 11.
I think they win this in their
Gordon
last 5,
started. Well, and then you look at the league. So sorry, I've just got it right here in front of me. It's all over the place. But you mentioned they lost to Brighton. Yeah, they did. They lost at home to Brighton 1-0. They lost away at Chelsea 2-1. They drew 0-0 at Everton. They did draw 1-1 with Man City, though. We need to remember that City did go and drop points there. So they don't seem to have buckets of goals in them. Just look at the table very, very quickly. They've scored 9 goals. Arsenal, on the other hand, have scored 17 goals. So 17 goals in 3 games. Fair play. There's decent output there. Only City and Chelsea have got more goals than Arsenal. Liverpool the same. The big concern for me is that we've conceded 10 goals in 9 games. And when you think we actually started the season with 3 clean sheets in our first 4 games.
Yeah.
It's only the 1 goal against Brighton and down to 10 when we conceded, and we were talking about this incredible defence. Since then, it's been a lot leakier for Arsenal. 2 against Liverpool, 2 against City, 2 against Bournemouth, 2 against Leicester, a goal against Southampton. But I think we have to...
3 of those games we had men sent off. That obviously contributed to...
Yeah, but Leicester as well, that was disappointing. Bournemouth, the overall performance wasn't great. I mean, I just wonder whether Arsenal going to have to revert to type a little bit, get a bit pragmatic again, if we're to beat Newcastle. How do you think we approach this game?
This is a difficult one, I mean, and this game can go any which way, in my opinion. Draw, either team can win. Tactically, I think... Listen, there's hope that Odegaard's back, but I doubt there's any chance he starts a game of this magnitude. So I think a big question tactically is, do you go with safety or do you go with trying to change around our fortunes in the final third? And that means bringing in Ranieri, who I think, had a door-knocking performance the other night against Preston. Only Preston, but like I said, he was the cleanest player on the pitch. Great touches, half spaces, confident, and a beautiful goal off the back of it. So, you can't knock on the door any more loudly than he did. So that's the big question for me. And I'd probably lean towards it because I think people know we're a bit of a wounded animal right now. And, some teams, when they sniff blood, that they go for the kill. And I do feel like Newcastle, especially at home at this moment in time, question marks about them as well at times. I think they'd see it as a chance to get one over on us. You mentioned defensively are, the goals we've conceded. Now, a lot of football is won off the pitch by what you've done in recent months or years past, in terms of the mentality, what you're up against. And when we built that resolute, defence the last couple of years, the numbers don't lie, year on year better. And then the first 4 games of the season, remember, best defence in the league. We are, this unit, and we talked about if it's boring, who cares if we're winning, and so on. Fast forward 8 game weeks and teams are looking at us like we can get goals there now. Their main threat is probably set pieces, or you lock down Saka, you double up on him, and they don't really have anything else with Odegaard out. So I'd say we have to change it up a bit, and I think Ranieri starts that for me, and I think you try and take the game to them.
Yeah, I think we do have to take the game to them. They're not... Look, the Newcastle side of 2 years ago when they got into the Champions League, I had a lot of admiration for. They were quite physical and they would get on top of you. But you know what? Their actual tactics, where they had a 4-3-3, very Jurgen Klopp Liverpool, certainly his sort of first 3-4 years, that kind of style, very aggressive on the front foot, overlapping fullbacks that could cause problems. But Joe Linton was reinvented as a midfielder. He'd pull wide so that the inside forwards could tuck in a little bit more. And there was just a lot I really liked about their setup. And I felt that actually it can actually make, for people talk about Man City's football or Arsenal's football, whatever, it can be some of the most entertaining football for me when you're just that kind of full throttle and the pressure you apply to opponents. Last season they had injuries, I think really derailed their season. I actually think they'd have had a significantly better season without the injuries. This year, some injured players are back, but Isak's missed some time out. Tonali's now back. But they just haven't quite clicked. They've had moments like coming back from 1-0 down to Wolves, winning 2-1, obviously just beating Chelsea in the Cup. But it doesn't feel like they've got that same aggression, ability to just feel like they're constantly on top of you. I think if I'm to use a boxing analogy, which I know you like, I've heard boxers when they talk about heavyweight boxing, when boxers lean on you. I imagine that's what it feels like playing Newcastle. Just like you're holding their weight, and it's just like a nightmare. And they exert energy from you. I don't feel like they've quite got that this season, and that I think should invite Arsenal to play and be confident.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I watched a few of their games this season because Newcastle's one of those other teams that I kind of like watching.
Yeah.
And you're right. They're actually, especially when they play Arsenal, I notice they are quite pragmatic. If you notice, when we play them, they never go all guns blazing with us. In fact, I specifically remember Robbie criticising Newcastle, being negative when they played Arsenal, even at home. So they tend to be a bit more pragmatic. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably go 4-3-3, 4-3-2-1 without the ball. I'm expecting Arsenal to have the majority of the possession in this game. But obviously, possession is one thing, it's what you do with it. Now, with regards to what Turkish was talking about, the Wanyeri, that's a big talking point coming into this game. Should Wanyeri start?
Yeah.
Listen, if he does start, I wouldn't have any serious issues with it. However, it is my belief, and I do think he'll be right on this occasion, that the manager will start Trossard, given the fact that it's an away game against Newcastle, very physical, very powerful side. That game could get quite testy. I think you need guys like Trossard, your experienced pros that you can rely on. I think he will start, but I'm pretty sure that at some point you will see Wanyeri come on, win, lose or draw. I think he'll get minutes in this game because you can see what they're trying to do with Wanyeri. Is a bit like what we did with Saka, is that next project.
Yeah,
they've identified him as that so-called star boy, so he will get minutes week on week. I mean,
yeah,
he made his debut at 15 years old, so they obviously believe in this kid. But would I start him on Saturday? Probably not. That's not anything to do with talent, anything to do with temperament. I just think it's to do with the fact that Trossard is a very capable player.
Yeah,
he's already got a couple of goals this season. He's experienced, and I think in the cauldron, in the heat of the battle, he probably makes more sense to start.
Well, let's talk about the 11 then. Raya will keep his place. I have to give serious credit to Mikel Arteta. I did not want the Carabao Cup thrown away, and rather than saying, "Oh, Timber, you're too good to play, you've had problems," or "Partey, you're too good to play, you've had injury problems," he actually has just managed the minutes really well. Timber, Marino, you play a half. Havertz, Partey, you play a half. Great. I like that. Even giving Saka 30-minute run out I thought was good, because obviously he's not sort of played for a few weeks. So
sorry to interrupt, but I said exactly that on the watch along yesterday. When I saw the starting lineup and saw that Timber was starting, I thought this is good, because basically what he's doing, he's sending a statement to say we are taking this competition seriously.
Yeah.
And I, for one, hope that he maintains that and we go on and win it.
Yeah, and also we got to see Wanyeri with some first-team players as well. It's like those kind of things. You actually got a good idea for how certain players were looking and what was a very Arsenal Premier League-ish setup, though we obviously rotated quite a bit. So I like the management of minutes. Timber will keep his place, but is it going to be right back or left back for you? Because of course Saliba has returned after a suspension. Ben White, though, Arteta used the words, we lost him, I think essentially alluding to an injury, but there's been nothing to suggest that it's particularly long term. What do we do in that area? Partey, I thought, excelled at right back against Liverpool and has been inverting well from that position. But do you break up Rice and Marino? That, for me, that was the best balance in midfield we've seen that first 45 minutes against Liverpool. So it's really difficult. What would you do with the back four?
Hope that Ben White's fit would be the first thing. Because if he is, I think it picks itself with Timber left back, Gabriel back in. Yeah. If he's not, then I think it's a case of, do you want Partey right back or do you want to bring in Lewis Skelly left back? I think Zinni might be a risk in this one because we're away against a team that, listen, Almiron's probably the one to start on that side, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
they've played with Gordon on the right times.
I mean, whoever, Barnes, Gordon, Almiron, they're all wingers that Murphy. If they go up against a Zinni, the spacing behind is not great.
They're all of a profile that would hurt Zinni's weaknesses. So if Ben White's out, I'd probably... Partey done so well against Diaz. He did.
He done so well, but that doesn't mean for me now that's him. I feel like, he done a job there. He'll be up against another winger. We can't guarantee that he'll do the same job. Because the numbers are against him in that position, really. Hence why Liverpool straight away went to that side. The first kick of the game was to Diaz, the run at Partey, and from that moment Partey set the tone. But that can go any which way in a new fresh game. So and he's been our best midfielder.
Yeah.
But I want Marino to be in the 8.
Can I predict that if Ben White's fit, so Arteta's words was that he was struggling at the end of the game against Liverpool, so he wasn't available for tonight's game. That's talking about Preston. So my prediction is that they'll rest him because he's clearly had some injury problems that I think stem back to last season, where he basically played through him because others couldn't.
But he's one of our St. James Park players, and by that I mean, like, you know, when the going gets tough away from home, or it gets a bit ratty, or it gets a bit gritty, it gets a bit, you know, kick for kick, or, you know, a bit feisty. He's one you want on that pitch.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's assume he's fit because we haven't been told he's injured. We just been told, you know, he had a small problem, so he couldn't play Preston, but nothing to suggest that he's.
But we're all in agreement. If he's fit, he starts.
Oh gosh, yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. Okay. I also feel like Arteta will go, Partey, you did great at right back. Rice and Marino did great. We'll just roll with it. I do feel like he'll be tempted to do that if White isn't 100%. But I'd like him to be fit. But let's make this difficult for us. Let's say White is fit. Back four, Pitts, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. Over to you, Laurie. Partey, Rice, Marino. I think all three have auditioned well for that position. For two of those three positions. And I think Rice played his best football of the season in the 6 for Arsenal. Problem is Partey is playing the best football of all midfielders.
I was going to say, for me, Partey's been one of our unsung, outstanding players so far this season.
It's really
He's been really good. And it's interesting because I had a conversation this morning, actually, with Belgium. Shout out to Belgium. We all know Belgium of Ghanaian extraction. Massive fan of Partey. Me and him talk about Partey a lot, and we were saying, I was agreeing with him actually, that Partey this season has been one of Arsenal's best players, and I think if he's fit, he's ready to go, he's got to play, definitely. Mourinho, looking good, got a very good goal against Liverpool, but still is coming to terms to the pace of the British game, whereas Partey, you know, he's already there. We know he's had his injury problems. And indeed, a lot of people were saying that this is a make or break season for him this season. Now, if that is the case, then obviously he's going for make because he's been really good this season. And I think he should be retained if he's fit.
I didn't think Mourinho did anything special in the 45 against Preston. I thought he was perfectly functional. But I do think against Liverpool, I was really impressed.
Probably our biggest goal threat of the 3 already. He should have scored 2 from a set piece. You know, he fluffed the first one, acted like his shoulder was gone, but then people didn't clock that. But he recovered well, and he got the next one in. And I think when our main threat at this moment in time, without a free flowing attack, is set pieces, do you take a man that, you know, essentially is so good in that department off the pitch? It's a tough one.
I just can't justify dropping Partey when he's...
No, you can't.
And he's been linking up with Declan as well. If you notice, that them two have got a really good thing going on there. When one goes, the other one drops.
But that's the other problem with Rice, though, is that while I think he ended last season playing in the 8 box-to-box really well, I think this season he hasn't looked as comfortable in it. So he's going to play all 3, isn't he? He's going to play.
You think?
I hope not.
Sorry, so reiterate that. Which
he could play Rice, Partey and Marino as a midfield 3. I hope not. It didn't work against Bournemouth. I tell you what, the only way that works is if you keep Marino as the left 8 and you let Rice go to the right 8 to bomb up and down the pitch on their stronger foot. And even then, that wouldn't really work. But it's a kind of midfield like Jurgen Klopp would have lined up with and actually got a lot out of it, but it doesn't quite work.
See, I've already played my hand because I've advocated for Trossard. So for me,
so your midfield 2. Let's assume White starts right back. Your midfield 2 is
my midfield 2 is Rice and Partey, and then I'd have Trossard as in the number 10.
Yeah.
Newcastle away.
This is so difficult.
It has to be.
And of course, I've got Wayne waiting in the wings to come on and do his thing.
Probably has to be. If it would,
you know what?
I think Partey Marino might have the best balance.
You do?
I do.
Don't you think Declan and Partey have been linking up really well this season?
I hear it.
But I just think I'd like to see this Partey.
But given what you said about being a must-win, are you sure you want to?
Yeah, but I don't think Rice's performances this season have been so out of this world that we are.
I would say though, right, and this is no disrespect to Mourinho, that Rice athletically is probably more gifted. He'll get up and down. He'll do a bit more work. And I think in a game like Newcastle,
probably you're right.
You need that because this is going to be a very physical,
you got that
physically
demanding
Mourinho's
game.
got that though, not in the way Rice does.
Yeah, he has.
Do you know? Okay, right.
Who's yours?
It's Rice and Partey because I know those two the most.
Yeah.
It's just I know what I'm going.
Most sense.
It's just what I know. I know what I'm going to get from those two the most. However, I think, and I would get it. I think Arteta might drop White or rest or however it is, and say, look, take whatever time you need, take it. Partey can invert from right back, and then you got the best of all three. Like I think that might be the way he goes. But if I have to, assuming White's fit, I'm going Partey and Rice just to stick to what I know. Because while I really like Mourinho's first kind of start in that position, the left day against Liverpool, I thought he did great. It's one game. Whereas with Rice and Partey, we've got a title running worth of evidence that those two kind of works as a pairing. So I would go for those two. That hasn't quite worked. Now the front two is where, with Trossard and Havertz, because Arsenal are essentially playing 4-4-2 at the moment with those two. And it's interesting because when we progress down the right, Havertz drops into become the third midfielder essentially in build up, and when we're progressing down the left, Trossard drops into that space. And I feel like what we haven't done is occupied centre backs well enough. When we said we were talking on Behind the Numbers about how Arsenal responded to Ødegaard missing, we talked about going long a lot. That's absolutely true, and I know I'm the one who presented those numbers. But at the same time, in build-up, when we have played along the floor, we're asking Havertz to go out to that side so much. Yeah. And I just think in this kind of game, I want him in the walls with Cher and Burn or whoever it might be.
He will be in a war, all right.
Well, if he's in that position, he will be. If he's in that position, for sure. And I feel like Trossard needs to be coming over to that side a little bit, out to the right to link up play. Otherwise, for me, not only are you not playing your closest player profile as to Ødegaard, which feels strange, you're actually changing our tactical setup to accommodate for not starting Waneri, which feels a bit strange to me. So I would go Trossard and Havertz again, but I would tweak the dynamic, and I would like to see Waneri get some minutes, but I can understand why St James's Park doesn't maybe feel like the place to do it. What do you think?
I mean, Leicester at home wasn't the place to do it.
I know. I thought it was
the place to do it. So did I, but the manager didn't. So I think you lot will probably be right, and it seems like safety first.
It's not so much safety; it's an experience thing for me. I've got no doubt that Waneri, based on talent, could go there on Saturday and do a very good job. He might even be man of the match again. You never know. I've got no doubts about that. What I'm saying is, obviously Trossard's a very talented player. Also can also score goals. I'm saying for the magnitude of this game and what we're expecting, it's going to be a very physical game with lots of stuff going on. I think a more experienced player, to start anyway, is probably more sensible. Waneri's there, he's that sort of hidden threat that we've got. Not so much hidden, because now he's blowing up, everybody knows what he can do. But you know what I'm saying? You got that in reserve to say, things are not quite going your way, we need a goal, you bring him on. He's going to do...
Who does that best for us?
Sorry?
Who does that best for us?
What do you mean?
Comes on and gets a goal. Trossard.
What, right now?
Trossard does that best for us. So maybe it's time. Because I haven't been exhilarated by Trossard's performance. He's done well, worked hard.
That's a good point, actually. When he starts, he doesn't always have the same impact he does when he comes off the bench. That's been levelled at him out the past, and I do see that. But I just think that a game like this, you spoke earlier, innit, about guys like Shah and Joe Linton, and
you don't know what
they're a big, strong physical side.
These don't know. I'm the one banging the drum about not relying on Ranieri the most because in experience he's young. So I agree with all of that. But we are in the position we're in. We've left ourselves what we've left ourselves with. And to be honest with you, I've looked at our performances without Odegaard, and defensively at times great, offensively never close to great. So there's something that needs to change, and I feel like now, especially with us conceding goals, Newcastle are going to have the wind in their sails. They're going to know they can get something. They're going to be physical, yes, but at the same time, what are we offering back? Are we going to offer the same thing back they saw last week against Bournemouth and the week before that and the week before that? Because it's been...
I think the Bournemouth game was a bit of an anomaly because they have Saliba sent off.
Leicester was the anomaly. Leicester was the anomaly in how much chances we created. Apart from the Leicester game this season, we haven't had a game where we've created that many chances. So really, that anomaly.
No, what I'm saying in terms of, you were talking about conceding goals.
No, I'm talking about three in the attack.
Because when you lose a guy like Saliba,
no, but Bournemouth is 2 goals of how many we've conceded 2 goals 3 times this season already. Like regardless of whatever.
He's going to start
hypothetical,
Trossard.
but
Yeah, he is. I know he is.
But
if he starts Trossard and the attack is as dead as it has been, and we're not creating chances, and we don't win this game, then don't mention the transfer window, Turkish.
Yeah.
Because if we line up like that,
so the
Newcastle
attack
will
was
be
dead. But the first half against Liverpool, I thought we were really good.
Yeah.
We scored 2 goals and we were looking good.
First, I mean, the only. Well, we created that chance in the first 20 minutes. We got the goal, but the first 20 minutes.
We scored after 9 minutes against Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean that was the only chance we created, and then in the first 20 minutes it was, and then the set pieces.
Right, Declan Rice and Marino.
Yeah, and then the set pieces and a couple of cutbacks.
Overall, the first half,
No, first half overall we got better and better. By half time, I was
and the
really
reason
happy.
why I say Bournemouth was an anomaly, I was at that game. Yes, we weren't sharp or whatever, but definitely the turning point was losing Saliba after 29 minutes, because then that changed the whole complexion of the game.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly, because we had a man sent off. So what I'm saying, it's kind of difficult to look at that Bournemouth game in isolation and say, the attack is dead, because up until that point, yes, we hadn't been playing that well, but it wasn't looking like we were going to lose either.
Well, look, Saka and Martinelli on the wings, then we can all agree on that. So Havertz up front, and I mean up front, lead the line, please. Give me your final player in the 11. Trossard or Ranieri?
Ranieri.
For you? Who do you want? Ranieri or Trossard?
Trossard. Ranieri, as I said previously, he will get minutes.
Yeah.
He will definitely see game time. But as a starting person, for me, I would edge towards Trossard.
I'm gonna say I want Ranieri. I want Ranieri. Let's do it now. He looks talented.
You know what? If he gets the starting berth, you won't hear any complaints from me.
And a lot of people kind of might laugh at this sentence, but I always think when a youngster's playing against championship opposition, it's not the Premier League, but it's no walk in the park. Like it can be it will be a test a level above what he's kind of used to, certainly maybe from a physicality perspective. And I just thought he came through, like it wasn't 10 out of 10 perfection, but that's fine. He's a raw young player. What I liked was he had that imperfection that made him a potential match winner, a flair player who he might scuff up a shot, but look, he just got into a good area and then bam, top corner for the next one, and then bam, hits the crossbar on the next attempt, and every touch felt immaculate.
The manager said that he does that all the time in training.
Yeah.
So the manager's saying, I wasn't surprised by that at all, because I see him do it all the time.
There was moments he pulled off a turn with his back to a player and you think, that looks good. Oh, but then he lost it on the touch after. But I don't mind, because you pull that off. You've taken a player out of the game. And I just think the talent's there. There's clearly something else that Arteta sees every day that we won't know about, but the talent is there.
Yeah.
We'll round it off there, people. Slightly longer preview than usual. Apologies, but I had to chat about what the 11 is going to look like. Let us know. Ben White at right back, or do you keep Thomas Partey there? If it is White at right back, what do you do with the midfield? Marino looked great against Liverpool. Rice is only just finding his best form, but Partey has been our best midfielder all season. Martin Odegaard could be back for this weekend, but it is touch and go. I doubt, even if he is available with the squad, that he'll start, but I could be wrong. Ethan Nwaneri, has he done enough? And then what would you do out wide? Do Martinelli and Saka keep their place too? Lots to discuss there. Get your comments in, get your score predictions in. I'm going to quickly say that. Actually, I'm going to say it for Forever Arsenal. Do you want to say it for Forever Arsenal?
Yeah.
Go on. Do you want a score prediction?
Well, I'm not on Forever Arsenal, so I'm willing to give mine now. If you
Go for it.
2-1 Arsenal.
Love it. All right, everyone, get your score predictions too. The rest of us will do it on Forever Arsenal. Remember that on the AFTV Plus app, you can join us on the Forever Arsenal leaderboard, where we're all battling out to win the league by getting our score predictions in. I think I'm still in the top 4, but I haven't checked since Preston. All right, everyone. See you in a bit.